What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Steph Speaks Radio. Today I have with me Kylene Bogden. Kylene, this is your third time here, and I know some other people might already know who you are, but why don't you go ahead and tell us a little about who you are, what you do.
Sure. So I'm a functional dietitian. That just means I get to the root of health and performance. And it's funny, there's two populations that come to me. The elite of the elite, professional athletes, big time executives, and then those that just feel like trash, right? They have headaches, they're tired, they can't lose weight, their joints feel like junk, and they want to know why. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you work with such like a diverse population. And obviously we've had so many conversations, which is why we're here again, because me and you could talk for 5 hours.
For days, possibly.
Yes. This conversation, I know for all you guys listening, like there could be so many topics that we could go into because both of our industries just like mesh together in different ways. And the thing that I would love to go into today is just a topic of like improving things that people don't know can be improved. And I know there's so many different topics about that and so many different things. But first, when I say that, what comes to mind for you when I say that?
Yes. Well, a laundry list of things. But let's say right now, we're starting to get into the fall.
Yeah.
Weather's getting colder. Joints. I'd love to talk about joints.
Yeah.
The kind that are on your body.
Yeah.
Of course, right? Everyone's starting to feel creaky. They feel old. They come to me saying, well, it's my genetics. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. It is not true.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, to make a long story short, there's not a ton of blood flow that occurs in the joints, especially around the cartilage.
Yeah.
So that means when we're exposed to junk and when we eat junk, it gets lodged in the joints. Yeah. That inflammation is what causes the pain. So the goal is to target the inflammation. You clean up the diet. We do all kinds of stuff like saunas and binders, and the protocol is different for each person, but that is how you can reverse chronic joint pain, even if someone has been dealing with it for 20 years.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. I mean, I always hear from clients that come to me, oh, my knee's killing me. It's because the weather's changing. I hear this all the time. I'm sure there's a little bit of truth to that potentially, but I'm always hearing in the gym, like people are just saying like throughout their sessions with me, especially like this hurts, that hurts. I ask, okay, well, what do we think's going on? Oh, it's just got to be the weather. Right, you're saying there's a little bit more to it than that.
Right. I'm not saying it doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's a little tiny portion. The biggest part has to do with their immune health, their gut health, right? Like, for example, there are certain bacteria that when overgrown in the gut, they tend to cause a lot of joint pain. Klebsiella is one of them. There's a few of them, but that's part of it. And environmental toxins. It sounds so stupid, so weird, so, out there voodoo, but it's real, especially if you live here in the States. We're exposed to a lot. We're in Northeast Ohio, right? So there's a lot of mold. There's a lot of funkiness in the environment. I mean, I have some clients where they've had, a bit older, but they've had metal fillings, right? So mercury, certain heavy metals can lodge in the joints and make you feel like trash. So you put all that together and it blows up the joints, right? So like I said, we start with food. You work on an anti-inflammatory diet. You've heard that before. I think most people have heard that. You eat a lot of color. You pull out the food sensitivities, dark leafy, green vegetables that help with detoxification. But then after that, that's not enough for most people, especially as we age. You have to actually go in and design a protocol based on their DNA, their genetics, and their test results to help remove the filth from the body that it can't remove on its own. Go ahead. Well,
I just wanted to say too one thing, because obviously I know this, but I'm wondering if a lot of people understand when you say overgrowth of bacteria in the gut. I know to you and I, this is something we're like, oh yeah, we understand what that means. But could you just break that down? When someone hears overgrowth of bacteria in the gut, what does that mean?
Sure. So there's all kinds of bacteria in the gut known as the microbiome. And there's just good bacteria, there's bad bacteria. And some of the bacteria isn't necessarily bad until it overgrows. So there are certain microbes, right? And like sugar, for example, feeds it. Certain medications, toxins as well, feed those dirty microbes. And when they overgrow, when they've kind of reached their limit, that is what causes the pain, the fatigue, the inflammation, the headaches, the whatever, whatever you're predisposed to. So we have to kind of knock that back down with, again, the protocol is different for every person, but maybe it's probiotics and maybe it's, zinc and certain GI powders. So bringing that back in balance is what allows the body to operate the way it was always meant to operate.
And what do you, I guess, from what you've seen over the years now, what has contributed or what can contribute to someone having this overgrowth of good bacteria, bad bacteria, both? Like, what are some factors that can lead to someone even getting to this place first before we go into all these other topics?
most commonly across the board, diet, right? The refined oils and added sugar and just overly processed junk day in and day out, right? I'm not talking about once in a blue moon for a birthday. That's not going to do anything. I'm saying every day you're eating food out of a plastic bag, a little container, plastic chip bag is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just over and over again, you're heating your food in plastic containers. You're drinking out of a plastic water bottle. I mean, and not to get off the food path, but then look at your shampoo, look at your deodorant, look at your makeup, look at everything. And you're putting that on top of a junky diet. And then you're pairing that with the stress, the medications, the toxins, the pollutants in the environment. Yeah. And especially if from a genetic standpoint, you don't filter very well, you don't detox very well, that builds up and that just can destroy a microbiome in the gut.
I mean, well, that's the thing that, like you were saying, like there's just so many environmental factors and there's so many things that we're doing on a daily basis that we probably are literally.
I know.
It's hard. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me.
No one's perfect.
But it's true though. Like there's things that we're doing on a daily basis that a lot of people don't even realize. And then they're having all these symptoms come up, like we said, like the joints, for example. Like we're going to circle back to that here in a second. But I feel like I hear all the time, I mean, even myself, I've had my things come up, hence why I've worked with you in the past. But, listening to people come to me in the gym, they come up with all these different symptoms, things that they're feeling or that they're realizing are happening for them in real time. But they're not realizing that all the things that they're doing day to day have compiled to then lead to the overgrowth, lead to the inflammation. And then they're confused on, well, why do I feel like this all of a sudden? Well, it's compiled from all the choices that we're making consciously and unconsciously every single day.
Right. And then you go to your doctor or whoever, your healthcare provider, and it's like, well, here's a medication for this. Here, just take some Motrin. Or here, oh my gosh, you have cramps, whatever. Here's birth control. Yeah. That's fine, but you're not getting to the root of the problem. So then it just manifests underneath and gets worse and worse and worse because you're putting a Band-Aid over it. And then surprise, you're 40 with 2 different autoimmune conditions, or you've been struggling with infertility for 12 years, or how did I get cancer at 38 years old? Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, but that's a big part of it. Yeah. That's why I work to get to the root of why people don't feel great.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I love the most about what you do is that it is always focused on the root. And that is going to actually lead me into the topic of genetics too. And like the root and all these different things that we have and figuring out the why. And I mean, in my brain, those somehow connect. I think everything in this connects. But a lot of people think that, just because something has happened to you genetically, or I'm sorry, because of something is in your genetic line, that you are just automatically, it's like a death sentence, like I am going to get this. I've had other people come on here and we've had this conversation, so I know my viewpoint of it, but I'm really curious, like if someone has something in their history, whether that be cancer, diabetes, I mean, we have so many things that could be, I mean, I can go down the list of all these, dementia, Alzheimer's, all these things. Does that mean automatically someone is going to end up getting that as well?
No, it does not. Maybe you have more of a predisposition if it runs in your family, but you can silence those genes. And at the same time, you can trigger and turn on those genes, right? Genetic loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. So you kind of have to, how do we do this without talking for 2 hours? But
I know.
I think it's important to know, though, that just because you have the gene doesn't mean it's happening to you. In fact, just last week, I did genetic testing on 2 individuals, and there was a marker on these 2. One was a professional athlete, one was an executive, and they both had this gene where they reabsorb sodium really quickly, meaning if they have a really salty meal or they have a ton of electrolytes, like they either don't need it or they feel like it's too much when they consume it. Yeah. So even if they sweat a ton, they might need half of what you and I need. So the one individual said, oh my gosh, it's the first time in my life that someone's validating me. All these dietitians have been forcing me to take these electrolytes, and I don't feel like I need them. I don't feel good when I have all these electrolytes. And then the other individual said, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't notice any effect whatsoever, no matter what I eat or drink. And that, to me, says one of those genes was turned on and the other was not. So just because you did genetic testing and it shows you have a certain gene or a gene that might be a little scary, it doesn't mean that it's rearing its ugly head, if that makes sense.
And like in general, though, what are things that we can do basically in our life to keep that gene from exposing itself, if you will? Because I know that there's certain things that we can do in our diet, lifestyle, this and that can help from us manifesting that in our life.
Sure. And the foundation, right? Everyone, diet, exercise, hydration. We know that, okay? But I think the second layer that most people miss is just making sure that you find a habit that works for you, that helps with longevity and detoxification.
Yeah.
again, this will be different for every person, depends on your age, what you're dealing with. But like I said, cold plunge, sauna, maybe even dry brushing sometimes we recommend for certain clients. Having a modality that kind of keeps the pipes open, so to speak, right? Keeps the liver, keeps the drainage going. That is so important from everything, from depression, anxiety, to joints, to gut health, to whatever. You have to be clearing, always be clearing.
Yeah.
And if you're just eating well, that may not get you very far, which is why people say, well, I've eaten well my whole life. I trained for marathons. I don't know how this happened to me. Well, because you missed that third major component of keeping the drainage pathways open.
Can you explain what that means a little bit more?
So, I mean, think about it. You have all these systems in the body, the liver, the kidneys, the lymph nodes that help just kind of move things through. And if you're not doing anything to help keep those pathways open, or maybe that's not really your issue, it's just that something happened in life and you have to just open those pathways just at some point, right? That's when I was saying the binders and the detox protocols, it's a very real thing, right? You want to work with a professional. You want to use supplementation that's professional grade and of good quality. But when you do that paired with the right lifestyle habits, that is what can kind of make the liver and the kidneys and the lymph nodes do their job. Maybe go to someone for a lymphatic massage, right? Getting that drained can be really, really helpful for some people.
Yeah.
So put all that together, and that's how you can kind of keep yourself alive and feeling good.
And are you finding when you work with a lot of people that have, different things they're coming to you for, are you finding this connection with their drainage pathways being blocked?
Yes. In fact, sometimes that is the number one reason they haven't been able to make progress. It might be why they've spent 10 grand on 5 different providers, and they've done the fancy detox protocols, and they've had the finest chef in the city, and they just can't really make progress. Sometimes that is it. They missed step 1, opening up that drainage funnel. They did, step 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, but they didn't do step 1, and sometimes that is what we're missing.
So where does someone even begin then in that process? If you had someone working with you, or someone's like looking to work with like a functional dietitian, or just anyone for that matter, right? And this is a step that they're looking to take. What does that look like?
It's so complicated. And I think that's the beauty of functional medicine and functional nutrition, is that it is so individualized. You can't just hand someone a sheet of paper with macros counted on it and telling them, go in the sauna 20 minutes 3 times a week. I mean, you can't do that because everyone is so unique, and you can make someone really sick if you, Google, what do I do to detox?
Right.
And, it's telling you to go in the sauna for an hour 3 times a week, that you're dumping stuff out of the body too quickly. And when it recirculates and it's not coming out the back end, right? Number 2, It can make you really sick. So when someone comes to us, we have a whole team of dietitians. We sit down and go through everything from their diet, their medical history, their symptoms, who they've seen, what's been done, what worked, what didn't. And if they have any tests, we look at that. We usually order our own testing to figure out what is going on. We usually run a toxin panel on a lot of people in this situation to figure out how bad is it, where is it, my golfers, are you exposed to what's being sprayed on the course? My farmers, what are you doing? What are you spraying on your crops? My sweet little old ladies, your garden, what's going on here, right? Is it like Miracle Grow, or is it some form of organic formula? I mean, that's all the stuff we're looking at, and how severe the symptoms are. Someone who's really, really sick and in a lot of pain and exhausted, we have to go at a turtle pace. We might even break open supplement capsules and give them 1/4 of that dose with a little bit of dry brushing. Maybe we do that for 3 weeks. Versus others who are pretty vibrant, pretty healthy, and done a lot, we can jump right into things like sauna and cold plunge and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And I think the key there is how you're saying how it is individualized. And I want to go into this because we are in a world now where there's so much information accessible. There's so much stuff on the TikToks, the Instagrams, the Facebook, just anywhere on the internet, and people will just do anything, say anything. There's so many products that will say they'll do X, Y, Z. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are victim to the marketing schemes online and just victim to the system, if you will. That's just trying to sell them and play on their symptoms.
How about ChatGPT? The amount of people that, I'm not saying that it can't be really helpful, but
it's like a doctor now.
Incorrect information left and right that can really harm people sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. It's just like people will have all these symptoms going on. They want to fix, or they want to do this and that. But there's just so much information on the internet now. Like, I feel like people just don't know what to do. And there's no shame on them. They don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. So it's like, what do people do now when there's so much information available while coexisting with the fact that so many people are in pain?
Right. I mean, and I study this 7 days a week, and it's still really difficult to keep up with. So you're kind of saying, what do you do when you're in those shoes and you have all this information thrown at you?
Yeah.
I know, that's a really great question. I mean, and in that case, if you really are feeling ill, it would be best to hire, a functional dietitian, functional medicine doc, team together.
Yeah.
We have a lot of great clinics here in Cleveland and now all over the United States. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's the case, that is when you can't just Google the symptoms. I mean, you would do more harm than good.
100%. I agree with that entirely. I know it's hard. It's hard. It really is. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have. I'm thinking a specific situation, but I have clients come to me all the time where they're just like, they don't know. So like, Steph, I saw this supplement come up on my Explore page, and it was like this one specific probiotic they said is gonna like make me lose weight, or I'm just gonna like feel better. Like I always hear about people buying these different types of probiotics, and I know that, well, you know too, certain probiotics are best for certain people versus some are not good for certain people, depending on what you have going on in the gut.
Right.
But also just like other things like that. Like I'm always seeing like all these different supplements people are asking me. And I had a client ask me yesterday, you know, hey, I'm really trying to get my protein in. I'm super busy. Like, what protein shakes do you recommend buying? And my first thing is, well, I don't always like the pre-made ones. Why can't we maybe make our own? And it's so hard because in a world that's so fast-paced and there's so much accessible to us, what do we do when all the things accessible are full of so much crap? It's hard. Like half the stuff you read these days, there's just so much stuff pumped into all these things. So just like over time, people think they're doing the right thing, but then they're really putting more into their body that is probably, like you said, blocking the drainage pathways or leading to the gut.
Well, and it says high protein, low sugar, and you're like, yes, and it tastes great, but you're ignoring the food dyes and the sucralose and everything blowing up your joints, your gut. And especially if you're doing that day in and day out. Think about that. If that's in your protein bar, your protein shake because you're on the go, your snack, your whatever, I mean, you're going to be in a lot of trouble in a few years.
Yeah.
So, and for workouts, what do you do? Does anyone ever come to you where they just feel defeated, they're exhausted, they're in chronic pain? I mean, what do you do with their workouts?
Well, first, I actually want to comment on the part you said there, because I have people come in every day and I can't tell you how many times I hear, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. Hey, can we take it easy today? I'm really tired. That's like every day though. You know, And
are they saying this after 8 hours of sleep?
Well, a lot of my clients probably don't get enough sleep, but I have girls that even when they do, it's still just like I just feel like I'm always tired. And like that's something I see quite often, is just always like just this chronic exhaustion. I think I see across my population of women quite often. And there's also a lot just even when it comes to their cycles, like whether they're having an irregular cycle or just horrible. I can't tell. I mean, we talk about periods all day, every day at my job.
Poop and boners over here, right?
Oh, yeah, literally, that's it. There's nothing. I literally just, my session this morning talking about periods. That's all we talk about. Everything in the cycle. If we want to go down that hole, I could talk for hours. The stories I have compiled from women when it comes to the cycle, but it's like my girls like are deathly struggling with like PMS, and like I'm not gonna lie, I have struggled. My PMS can be pretty bad too, but I'm wondering too, it's just like, is there something going on here too with inflammation in women's body and all the things and this and that? Because the things that girls have told me about their PMS, it's wild. And like I said, also the chronic exhaustion, all these different things always coming up, and let's fix it. Let's just drown it with coffee.
I know. Or energy
or
drink,
Celsius. Celsius,
one in each hand, we alternate.
Every day. I mean, I have girls downing the energy drinks.
Men too, on this side of the fence. I mean, that's across the board. Same with my population. And there's just so much behind that. I mean, mitochondrial damage, detox pathways blocked. I mean, it's just, I was that person, right? I was the person, I was so healthy growing up, moved into a brand new apartment complex full of black mold, didn't know it. You've heard the story so many times, but because mycotoxins mimic estrogen, I suddenly, out of nowhere, within a month of moving in, I had the most painful periods of my life. Like, I went from having zero issues to almost being debilitated. I was in so much pain, right? And so it took me years to figure out that I was just like covered in mycotoxins, which is kind of like the dangerous spores that fly out of mold that make you really sick. So it wasn't until I figured that out years later and cleared that and opened up my own drainage pathways and went on a low mold diet and changed that to where I corrected myself. But if I didn't know this, I would go my entire life with the worst PMS and the worst,
That's great. Is it often too for like older buildings? Like, is it something you see a lot with mold and people's exposure? Because I learned about this more from you over the years too. But is this something how would someone even know in the first place though?
That's a whole.
I know.
Don't even get me started.
I'm
not even sure we can open this can of worms because.
I know. That's like. I know.
Yeah, I think you might have a separate episode for that because that's. But just know for the audience that it can happen. Everyone thinks that it only occurs in like dirty old cockroach-laden buildings, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. I mean, it happened in a brand new townhome for many of us here in the city, right? So it could be the old apartment complex, but it could be a brand new home that was poorly built. It takes a little bit to get to that point, but just know that it can happen to anyone, and know that you don't have to see it or smell it. And that is why so many people are ill from it, and no one even thinks to open up that little magic mystery door because, well, if I don't smell, I don't see black mold growing. How could that be a problem? And it's like, no.
Yeah. No. Oh my God, I know. Well, we'll have to.
Could be your only problem.
Yeah, but it's the thing, like I said,
people so common. It's so common, and it typically affects women much worse than men.
Really? Huh.
Who knows about that? But I mean, yes.
It's interesting.
Right.
It's interesting. Yeah. I do think a lot of people probably have it and just have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, probably more than a little bit.
And it's the one thing no one checks because most people don't feel comfortable with it, or they're just not well versed. And I get that too. Surprise.
We're all just struggling out here. It's okay.
Hanging on by a thread.
We're just dangling by a thread with all this information.
But maybe we saved one human today just by that little mycotoxin tidbit.
So pay attention for all you guys listening then, that you may not realize it, but your place may be have some mold, but you don't know. But you don't know if you don't know. It's just things to look into, but like you don't know unless you do the testing.
Right.
You have to do the testing,
even that. Sometimes the symptoms are so clear, right? Chronic fatigue is often where it starts. That's often a common denominator for everyone. But then after that, symptoms are different for each person, right? Chronic headaches, nausea is really common. Yeah. Sinus issues is really common. All of a sudden you have these gut issues that you never had before. So
yeah. Damn. Okay. Well, I already know where we're trying to go. There's so many different topics, and I know we're kind of doing like a spitball back and forth. This is kind of like a speed round of just nuggets of information. Something that I know that we were talking about prior to this, we wanted to touch on, and with my job especially, is that topic of weight equals calories in versus calories out. So like if calories were the whole story, then there's no one who did everything right would struggle with their weight, right?
Correct.
So you can kind of leave that off for us, but I know I have a lot to offer to that topic too.
Right. My favorite
Yeah.
Sentence of all time that's going to be on my tombstone that I say every time on every podcast with you is that you have to count your chemicals, not your calories, right? I mean, it's just so true.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to the same thing. I mean, many times you can't lose weight because your gut is a mess. You're full of toxins. Your mitochondria is damaged, right? That's the powerhouse of the cell. Like your body isn't running like a well-oiled machine. So how can you sit here and starve yourself and think that's going to work? Certainly not long term. I mean, all of that combined, right? The poor diet, the environmental exposures leads to hormonal imbalance and everything that allows the human body to lose weight and have ideal body composition. That has just been like smashed to smithereens.
Yeah.
So you have to dive deeper and recalibrate the body, so to speak, from the inside out if you don't want to yo-yo with your weight for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Like I am curious on, and I know obviously like you've been doing this for so long, and I'm sure throughout your journey you've had different viewpoints. What is your perspective or your thoughts, I guess, on macros and macro counting and stuff like that when someone is doing it in terms of with their fitness journey? Because obviously this is a lot in my industry, but I'm curious now what your thoughts are on it, and then also with everything that you've learned up until this point, you know, with men or women, it doesn't matter.
It's not that there's not a time and a place for counting macros, right? I mean, it's not that it doesn't work. And especially in our practice, we use it for, you know, our MMA fighters or, you know, when there's a weight cut for anything, wrestling, all that kind of stuff. But I just believe after doing this for so long that if someone has to be in this macro bubble to survive, there is something that's not being treated. If you can't veer off of that and something happens, whether you gain weight or you become foggy or whatever, there is something that's not being addressed. And what are you teaching someone? You can't have a human being from up here, from this standpoint. You can't have someone just staring at a sheet of macros and falling within that and just adjusting it all day, every day, year round, and think that that's healthy to live that way and to think that you have to be in that bubble.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense for a certain period of time, but what door have you not opened that this person has to be living on macros? Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm curious too, like, so coming from someone in the background of the bodybuilding world, which I've talked to you about all the time, conversations we've always had. In the bodybuilding world, what I had learned from a very young age was, well, one, obviously, like calories in, calories out, yes. But it's always been about super high protein, probably like high to moderate carbs, and like super low fat. Like it's always been, for a while, I remember there was like the 40-40-20 at one point, like split. But I mean, obviously that's been manipulated. But it's always been for like across the board, like keep the fat super low, protein like super high, like, and then, you know, how the carbs you obviously manipulate. But it's like, do you think that's a one size fits all?
No. And just hear me out. Hear me out why. Because I'm behind the scenes looking at these stool tests day in and day out.
I want to
right?
hear it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to lay it on you. Okay.
Good. Please do.
It's what we do, right?
Yes, please do.
Oh, that's why we go so well together. Little hyper hamsters trying to save humanity, right? One bite at a time. People say it's a dolphin, not a hamster, but whatever.
That doesn't sound like a hamster.
I digress.
It's okay.
Right? The microbiome is the control center for the body. We talked about this a few minutes ago. Good bacteria, bad bacteria. You want this beautiful, glowing Amazon of bacteria. You want all this variety, okay? But if you're eating the same foods every day, you will not have that variety. And in the diet of a bodybuilder, traditionally, there's not a lot of resistant starch. There's not a lot of colorful plants. There's not that much fiber. And when you don't have that for an extended period of time, at least, you are not feeding the good guys. You are not growing the guys that protect you in your gut. You're not enhancing the immune system. You're not enhancing metabolism. So while it may work for a short period of time, you're doing yourself a major disservice long term.
And what could that look like? I want to hear from you, then I'll tell you my experience.
Right. I mean, well, first, most commonly, what do I see from those who were bodybuilders for years and they're coming to me like, I don't know, at the age of 40 and beyond? Metabolic disasters. They have the hardest time losing weight. They are very tired. They struggle to put on lean mass because the bacteria and all the funk, the infections in the gut are they've just unraveled and have not been addressed. And the right foods haven't kept it in check. That most commonly, and sometimes joint pain too, because they lived on artificial sweeteners for years, trying to maintain lean body comp, and and then they'd have these crazy cheat days. I mean, crazy. I know. You know it better than I know it. I mean, you put all that together for years on end, and then dehydration before competition, and it's just all this stuff collectively, it just wreaks havoc on the human body from head to toe. Eventually.
And the thing too is, so again, speaking from when I was competing, and people listening, they may not haven't even competed, but maybe they went on a really strict journey. I say strict, however that applies, to lose weight, right? Maybe someone's just, whether they're on a fitness journey or they were at a place they weren't happy with their body, they're trying to lose weight, so they're trying to do it any way they can to get there. I've had girls tell me some crazy things they've done for that. But speaking from experience with myself first, when doing the traditional bodybuilding styles and that for quite a few years, it was, like I said, that kind of like 40-40-20 of the protein, carbs, fat. And for a while, I actually feared fat also. But I eat the same things every single day. I still can kind of be a creature of habit. Obviously, I've evolved those since then. But for this period of my life, I mean, it was the same exact meals. It was a very bodybuilder, the chicken, the rice, the sweet potatoes, the broccoli, the oatmeal, whatever. Okay, it was always within this realm of the same thing every day. And the thing that you also said was, I heard you say artificial sweeteners. Well, when someone's trying to lose weight, what are we going to do? We're going to do the things that deem low calorie or nothing in it. Do you remember that Walden Farms syrup?
Oh, forgot about that.
Ew, I think, what happened to them? Did they hope that someone sued them? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm actually not sorry. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. I do not care. That I used to just, it was like, this is pancake syrup. It was literally chemicals that were flavored
Straight
maple.
up chemicals.
And I would just dump it all over pancakes and heat it up and then I put in the microwave, which was 10 times worse. Oh yeah, just all over the pancakes. I'm like, wow, I'm so healthy because this has no calories in it.
Skinny. Yeah. Oh, I know. I used to be a Diet Pepsi princess. I know. I didn't know.
No.
In fact, I was taught in traditional schooling that was a great idea.
Yeah. No.
Oh, one point off of that we should tell the audience is that artificial sweeteners can still raise your blood sugar. People do not understand that. Maybe not as quickly as sugar, but for sure, if you're wearing a glucose monitor, watch it. Many will experience a blood sugar spike even from an artificial sweetener, especially if there's an abundance of it in your diet. That is worth noting.
I'm really curious too about, I'm sorry not to even spike, but I've been really personally, I've been so intrigued by the topic of blood sugar. And there was someone else I had on who's actually also in the functional world. And she was saying she thinks everyone would benefit from wearing the blood glucose, the blood sugar monitor thing. I don't know the proper term. I'm so sorry, but just
CGM, CGM,
continuous
glucose monitor.
Just to even have that data. And I'm curious, once I don't even know where to even go. I'm just so curious on that topic because people don't even think think about when their blood sugar is spiking or dropping or this or that or the other. What's the most optimal thing someone should be looking for when it comes to blood sugar, like a healthy individual? What would we want with our diets?
Think about it. You're looking for a steady line. You don't ever want that massive roller coaster.
You don't want it.
Never.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
And that is when you start to experience the, oh, I'm foggy. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I can't lose weight. If you're living a life like this, you're in trouble. That is such a ball of inflammation just brewing. And remember, inflammation is the root of all disease. I don't care if it's heart disease. I don't care if it's dementia. Like, inflammation is the root. And unstable blood sugar plays a major role in that because it's something most people struggle with, because it's not just food. Extreme stress will do that. Terrible sleep patterns, living on artificial sweeteners, thinking you're doing yourself a favor, not eating enough fat, not eating enough protein. I mean, there's just coffee on an empty stomach, oat milk on an empty stomach. I mean, we could go on for hours. People think, well, I don't eat Skittles. I'm not eating dry cereal first thing in the morning, so I'm good. And there's just so much more to it.
So when what's happening, just so we can break it down for people listening, when we're talking about that up, like the blood sugar rising and having a spike, what's then happening in the body as a result of that over time, even if you want to answer it that way?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at just a big spike of glucose. You're looking at insulin being constantly shot out to handle it, to manage it, to plug it into the cells. And then over time, the pancreas is like, oh, girl, I can't do this anymore, And then all of a sudden, you start to see your blood glucose is very high when you go to the doctor, and your A1C is very high. And you notice that you suddenly have a lot of pain, or your cholesterol is high. Here's what's interesting is that many people blame cholesterol alone for heart issues, heart disease. But I mean, that's a little factor, but not necessarily, not as much as people thought. Inflammation is the root of everything, especially heart disease. And high blood sugar, chronically high for a long time, can stiffen the arteries and blood vessels because it is inflaming the body. Your body, the sugar just hardens it.
Yeah.
Right. So just knowing that constant highs and big lows, right? When you feel exhausted and tired and hungry and you want sugar and you want more caffeine, that's a low. And your body's like, help, I need to survive. I need a high to bring that back up. And then you're caught in this scary cycle. And over time, it just deteriorates the human body, head to toe, brain, everything.
That's crazy. And the thing is, though, is like, how does someone, well, I know it's individualized, I know, but I guess it's like a general thing just for us to just talk about today. If someone wanted to have a lifestyle that is more in alignment with stable blood sugar, what are some practices they could start now?
That's a great question. Avoid caffeine on an empty stomach.
Yeah, I knew that was
Right?
coming.
Yep, especially
Everyone does it.
Oh, everyone.
It's horrible. I have to tell
Everyone.
clients this 24/7. They come in, I'm so tired. Oh, I didn't have my coffee this morning. Well, good, you didn't have your coffee this
Or
morning.
they plummet mid-workout and they're like, I don't know why. I only had coffee this morning. Well, yeah, because you only had coffee this morning, right?
I hear it
Right?
all the time. Sorry, I didn't keep going.
Yeah, so that's number one. Number two, make sure you have enough protein and fat at every meal. Every meal. Most people do great with dinner, debatable at lunch, breakfast. No, you cannot just have a handful of cereal and walk out the door. You can't just have a little sugar
All the
granola bar and walk
time.
out the door. I mean, having protein and fat controls blood sugar better than almost anything, right? So like, if you have a little omelet, have a little avocado, slice it and put some sea salt on there. I mean, I put peanut butter in your shake.
Yeah.
I don't care. Blend your coffee with MCT oil. Blend your coffee into your protein shake. I mean, whatever.
And then people get confused because it's not saying carbs are bad. Because I know then people say, oh,
Right.
well, no, I'm not supposed to have carbs. So then what do I do?
Right, the type of carb, the timing of carb, I mean,
know,
and
I
even
know.
your gut bacteria and your exposure issues, right? I actually might pull your carbs a bit if you've been exposed to mold. I mean, that's just a whole different story. But no, carbs aren't bad. The timing and the quality is what matters more than anything. And I think one last tip for the blood sugar is try to have your protein and your veggie mostly consumed off of that plate before you dive into the rice or before you dive into the waffle or whatever is there. Try to have more of the protein and the vegetable down the hatch. First, it acts as a buffer and kind of just paves the way so that the carbs don't come in screaming like a race car, right?
And you know what I really think it is? What's coming to mind as you're talking? So applicable, especially to this generation and the upcoming. Every time we're doing something, especially when we're eating, we're not conscious when we're eating. We're on our phone, we're watching TV. I get home a full day at work, been in talking all day, been in a high stimulus environment. What do? Well, I just want to zone out on my phone, or I want to put on the TV. I can't tell you, I'm putting myself on blast, but here it is. You know, because I'm not perfect either, right? Watching TV, I'm eating, shoveling. Like Mo the other day, my boyfriend Mo, he was like, first of all, Stephanie, he's like, you just shovel food and you eat so fast. I'm over here,
I know.
Because me and you, we're like this.
I know.
I go. So what do you do when you go? I shovel
Everything. I
And
write
I'm like,
fast. I eat fast. I talk fast.
Yes, and then next thing I know, I eat all the rice. I'm like, what about my chicken? You know, but oh my God, the rice is small, it's easy. But this is the thing is like, in this world, we are all either we're always on a rush, so we're eating super fast. And then second, I really feel like listen, there's so much positives from the technology in the media. There's a lot of good. There is. I'm not gonna take that away. There's so much good, but there's also the flip side. And we are just like, we're stuck like this all the time. So like, of course, when we're eating, well, we're not even paying attention. What do you got to say on that?
Right.
You could probably say a lot on that.
Right, I could say a lot on that, right? And it's like, don't tell me that you're tired, you can't lose weight, but you're on Instagram until 2 in the morning. Not even 2 in the morning, till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You're looking at blue light, right? That's shutting down your sleep cycle. Melatonin is being suppressed. You need it, right? It's like we have all these habits that just feed into one another, but then you're always tired, and your joints hurt, and you're foggy. It's like, but are you doing the right steps?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But if you're in terms of eating and not looking at your phone, right? I mean, yes, you want to sit down, cook the food, have it on a plate, breathe between bites, make food just your special safe place, and then go to your phone, then go to whatever TV, whatever you're going to do, but just sit down and enjoy that meal. Have it on the calendar like a meeting. Treat that like a meeting that you wouldn't miss with someone very important. Yeah. You are very important.
It's true.
And so is your food.
Yes. Yeah. Literally, yes. Because what you're saying is if we are mindful in the order in which we eat our food. So it's one, like you said, timing all this, but even the meals we're eating, what's on the plate, it's not just about ingesting it. It's the order in which we ingest it can help with our blood sugar.
Most definitely.
And then you're also saying, like you said, in the morning, I know how people start their day with food is absolutely horrendous. And my girls chronically undereat. And the biggest thing that people understand is if I have women that come in and are more in the overweight category, and they're like, well, I barely eat, I'm not losing weight.
I know.
It's really hard for me to get them, one, to eat more, but two, to start with breakfast. I try to tell them, I've always kind of used this example, and I want to kind of go into this too, because I think this is just applicable to most people. I've always thought of it as like you have a car with gasoline in it. Well, if I have just a little bit, I say gasoline is like the calories. If I have just a little bit of gasoline in that car, I'm going to go super slow, trying to conserve it. Okay, my car is not going to move. Well, if I have a full tank, I'm going to go boom, balls to the wall, all the way.
Yes.
Thing is, I say the car is your metabolism, the fuel is the calories. People just don't understand that though.
Because we were taught though. You're a little younger than me, but it's like low fat, the no fat, the strap yourself to a treadmill and just go. The 90s, heroin chic was the joke, right? I mean, like a lot of us were raised to believe that. The Walden Farm syrup and all that stuff together, and that's so hard. And fat makes you fat, right? The Snackwell's cookie and the Olean chips, people were pooping their pants in public. I mean, there was all this stuff we were bred to believe was a good idea, and it was not. And it's so hard to reverse that.
Yeah,
and you just have to go slow. You cannot overwhelm someone. You cannot give someone this 2,000 calorie meal plan if they're eating 900 calories a day. You work your way up to that, and you connect the symptoms. Like, hey, did you notice after that meal you weren't nearly as sluggish? Or hey, man, I noticed you crushed that workout. And we did this beforehand, or we ate this, or we did this the night before. Help them connect the dots and let them see what it's doing. And then it's like the light bulb starts to go off.
I'm wondering too, if someone focused more on eating in a way that, well, one, just having properly fueling their body and eating in alignment with blood sugar balancing, rather than just like counting the macros or doing like the whole low calorie thing. I'm wondering if they'd have better results focusing more like maybe intuitive eating, or just eating, like I said, properly for their body, but also focused on just like the quality of their food and what's going to help the way that I'm eating, what's going to keep my blood sugar the most stable. I'm almost wondering if someone would have better results from that, like focusing in that regard.
For sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to show them the data, right? The CGM, the glucose monitor.
Yeah.
Let them see that maybe they're not eating a lot, and because of that, their blood sugar is plummeting because they're starving themselves and they're going to work out. Some people just need to see it in real time and then use that to plug in the points. Like, okay, you love chicken, you love rice, you love broccoli. Let's have it like this at this time, and then watch what it does. And you love oat milk. Okay, well, it can be the base of your smoothie, but I wouldn't drink it on its own. I mean, that kind of stuff. And then they can see in real time. You're exhausted at 3 o'clock every day. Look what your blood sugar is doing, right? Yeah. And you know what else is important with your population especially is that a lot of us were bred to believe that it's willpower and you don't have enough motivation or you're soft or whatever. That's why you're not losing weight. That's why you can't stop the sugar cravings. Yeah. No, look at the gut. Look at the gut. Fix the yeast overgrowth, fix the bacterial overgrowth, and then the sugar cravings go away very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there has been a lot more understanding though of gut health over the years. Like we've talked about it since literally 2020 when I first had you. I mean, so many people on here now, I feel like there is more understanding of like just looking at everything from a gut level. Like, how is your gut to then flourish in every other avenue of your life. Like, yes, like the blood sugar, all these things, but like also like how healthy is your gut? But the thing is, I just, like we said earlier, like a lot of people just have no idea that their gut is what's causing all the inflammation, all the other things. But again, there's just so much out there that people just have no idea what's going on. But I also feel like too, it's just like the lifestyles we live. Like like we said earlier, we're constantly on the go. It's hard for people to just consciously make those decisions that are going to be in alignment with a better overall lifestyle. But just like we do what's quick, we do what's fast, we do what's easy. Our sleep is shit. We're downing caffeine. We're on our phones all the time. I mean, I actually will say to how many people, even though we're sleeping, are getting quality sleep.
Yes, gosh, I wish everyone wore an Oura ring or something of that
Yeah.
sort just for 2 weeks of their life.
Like, are we actually sleeping?
Right. No, people think, wow, oh yeah, look at the 8 hours. Well, no, I know you're in bed 8 hours, but look how crummy your sleep was. And then watch what you ate, when you ate, what supplements you took, caffeine, how many milligrams, what time. Look at those patterns and then adjust accordingly based on your HRV, your heart rate variability, and how you're sleeping. And I mean, that can be life-changing for some people, and it can be done on a budget without a professional sometimes. Like if that's your only option, and that might be a good start for a lot of people.
You know, we kind of brought it up earlier in this, and something that's personal to me. I had a conversation with someone else about this recently, and I know that you know a lot about this topic, and it's still uncomfortable for me to bring it up, of course, but, you know, I have a grandfather that's currently dealing with, like, dementia, Alzheimer's, so naturally, I've been really in this space of, like, cognitive decline and, you know, like we said earlier in this conversation, that conversation of like, okay, well, if someone genetically has something, does it mean we are going to get it? Does that mean it's a death sentence? And I've learned over time, no. Like I've done so much research, just understanding on the choices we make today, how are they going to impact me in the future? And I'm really curious on your thoughts, you know, like, well, first, my question, is brain decline normal with age?
A little bit, right? But not to the degree we're seeing it. And it's funny you'd mention that. You probably didn't even know what you did. You brought everything full circle. The two biggest ways to fight, and I don't want to use the word reverse, that's extreme, but I do have a lot of patients with cognitive decline that we do start to turn a corner when we do two things. Can you guess? Stabilize blood sugar, regulate blood sugar, I should say, and pull out the toxins. Those are the two biggest contributors to dementia, Alzheimer's. I mean, they're even calling it type 3 diabetes now.
Oh, I know.
You know that? Okay.
Yes.
Right? And like a lot of times, you know, brain function, especially when it's happening in someone younger, like very young, it doesn't make any sense. That is usually how you know it's a toxic overload. That's one of my number one, in my brain, I'm like, ding, ding, ding. It's a red flag when that comes in.
And again, just to circle it back, when we say toxic overload, briefly tell us again, toxins you're referring to are what again?
It's like the pesticides in the produce, right? What you're spraying on your garden. That's back to the mold, that's back to heavy metals. You know, even something like, let's say, like fresh, you know, sushi. Fine, great, right? But if you're eating it, eating like buckets of it, and you don't detox well, mercury could be a problem for you. I mean, it's a very real thing. I am seeing it, and I'm helping people clear it, and I know because they might have joint pain, and they might have cognitive issues, memory issues, and we see it all the time. And so just recognizing that, figuring that out, and just opening up drainage pathways and being conscious of what you're doing day to day can literally save your life.
And it's like literally that simple, but we make it complicated. It's hard though, you know, I try to watch how many questions I ask because I'm like, I know I could go into like 5 hours, but it's just hard because when all these things, like, you know, there's these two, I'm not saying it's easy to go, you have to do a whole protocol, of course, but these two things. But yet when you go to the medical system, it's like, instead of doing that, we're just, here's a bunch of pills to take.
And they tell you that food doesn't matter. A lot still believe that, even though it's the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because a lot could be reversed years in advance.
Yeah.
Right?
It's hard. I've always, and we've talked about this in the past, but I talked about this with people all the time. As someone that, okay, obviously I'm Greek and I go back to Greece most summers. So I'm someone that regularly goes to Europe, right? Which is different than here. It never fails me. And even other people I've talked to, it's just hard. Like you can feel the difference in my gut, or I say I'm just gonna speak for me, speak for myself. But it's crazy. It's like there's just a lot of toxic overload here, and it's if you don't know, you don't know. But if you've experienced it firsthand, you can see the difference, unfortunately, in just the food, the lifestyle in other places versus how it is here. And it's a really defeating feeling for a lot of people because they feel like, what do I do? Like, I had a cousin and she came back from Greece as well this summer. She was sick the whole first week back here after coming back. She was there for a month. She came back, just her whole stomach was sick. And same with me. I was bloating. I was adjusting back to here. It's just, it's frustrating. And then the people's question is, well, then what if our food's just so different here? What do I do?
I know. And that's not a freak occurrence. I mean, I've been hearing that for last 15 years of practice. I have been hearing that, whether it's professional athletes or just, your average Joe. I mean, everyone reports that, right? So it tells you there's a lot going on here. But what do? You can take major steps, right? Buy a water filtration system just for your sink. You don't need to buy it for the whole home. I mean, you can do it for, I don't want to say at a very, very low price, but a pretty affordable price. Your water is number one, I would say.
Really?
Air is really important too. But water, though, because you die without water, right? That's a
Oh,
non-negotiable.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right?
Oh,
I mean,
really?
but you're drinking it, and maybe you don't even drink water, but you're putting it in your oatmeal, you're boiling your pasta, and it's the base of your soup, whatever. I mean, you're getting it from all over the place. So if you're drinking trash water, sometimes that is the last thing. I've done everything for someone I can't quite put my finger on why they're not healing, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, your water. And then it's like, boom. They're like, oh, wow, wish I had known this 10 years ago.
So it really does make a difference to have water that is in a proper filtration system.
Yes. And then you're pairing that, right, with clean diet and everything. But
what do you recommend, by the way, for that? If someone just wanted, like, in their house, or is there like something you recommend for that?
We'll put a link in the show notes. I
love that.
I think it's called a cloud. I mean, that's what we have in our house.
Because I know a lot of people are going to probably ask, because it's like, they're probably like, okay, so like, is there like a certain, like a Brita? That's probably what everyone just.
No, please, no.
Oh.
I mean, it's just nowhere near the level of what you would need to have your water filtered. Right?
No, that's good to know, because we all have our Britas.
I know. I mean, I grew up with a Brita. I didn't know. I mean, you live and you learn. But
yeah,
that is foundational. That is foundational, right? Produce, buying organic produce matters. And if you don't want to spend the money, okay, then don't buy an organic banana, but please buy an organic berry, right? Dirty Dozen, we've heard of that. Clean 15, I know, right? Yeah. But that matters. I mean, it matters because I'm looking at people's urine and I'm seeing the pesticides. I know that it's a problem. It's even worse for kids because they can't filter the way that you and I do. Like that, it matters, right?
Yeah.
And there's, how do you know if it's really organic? I mean, you know what? Even if it's mostly organic, right? Isn't that better than the alternative? Yeah. Again, I'm coming at this from a very different angle because I'm seeing things on the testing side, but that matters. You say, what do you do in this country? Well, I mean, take matters into your own hands.
Yeah.
And pay attention to what you're eating. Limit your plastic. Download an app like Yuka that isn't perfect, but it's pretty good, and scan your shampoos, scan your makeup, scan your snacks, and start there. It's free.
Yeah. Just like even just being conscious of doing like these little things, because they can make a difference.
And then pick one habit a month, because it's too overwhelmed to do it at once. That's what I did, right? For month one, I got over got rid of the Teflon pans, got rid of the nonstick, right? Month 2, worked on my water filtration, right? Month 3, and so we could even create a checklist, right, and attach it in the show notes. It'll take me a minute, but we can do that if that's helpful.
People are so quick to complain, but slow to do the things they need to do to get the desired results. People are so quick to say everything wrong about everything, or this is what I'm feeling with, or why, or this is to this, or this is to that, or why they can't do something. But they're so slow when you tell them what to do. It's like, and this is the thing. I do see it a lot in my job with certain things. It's just people have to find it within themselves, because you can, lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink, right?
Right.
But it's just, I think there's a big thing about empowering people to do these things. And just like you said, you see the test results all day, every day. It's like people need to like know the facts. Like there's a lot of things out there that are proven. Like you don't need to go and make 20 doctor's appointments or buy all the products that are being marketed to you on Instagram. Like you literally said, like it's just toxic overload in the body, like being able to release and open those drainage pathways, stabilizing blood sugar, and then just being mindful about the choices you make every single day.
Right. And just baby steps. It doesn't have to be done overnight. Hold their hand and find out why. The horse doesn't want to drink the water. Okay, why doesn't the horse want to drink the water? Do they hate vegetables? Are they afraid? Does it cost? Yeah. Find out the why, and then work backwards from there. And then make a little, even for your job, make a little 3-step plan. And then they start to feel better. And it's like, okay, I can do this. And then you just build off of that.
Yeah. And I know, because when I was saying earlier too about like the whole like Alzheimer's, dementia stuff. So like kind of what you were saying though is like you're having people come to you, but when you have someone that is maybe having cognitive decline or something in that, I'm curious. And I don't know if this is even a question to answer or not, but is there like a common denominator you're noticing in these people or in their tests?
In terms of like lab results that we're seeing?
Yes.
That's a great question.
I'm really curious, like whether it's the gut, because I'm super, or just, I mean, if it's not that population, another one you see that's common, like there's a common denominator for like said illness or something.
Well, I'm generalizing, but the gut is never balanced ever. Not once. Not once have I seen a balanced gut in this population ever.
Okay. Yeah.
And two, toxins. Always. It's never come back completely clean. It's just the different. For one person, it might be like the plastics and the cosmetics are more lit up on the test, and for someone else, it might be all the molds and mycotoxins, because mold can come from foods and the environment. So sometimes, and if you're not detoxing well, you're getting hit from all sides, right?
Yeah.
I would say I see that more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And two, that's also going to lead me to think, with all the stuff going on with the gut, why do we have such a high rise in people that can't have gluten or dairy?
Right.
Why is everyone, I'm gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for what's going on?
I mean, there's a lot to that, but I mean.
I know. Do you think, I guess here, okay, this is a spitball fast one. And I kind of already know the answer, but I'm going to say it to you because people need to hear it.
Okay.
Do you think most people actually have a sensitivity to gluten, or do you think it's things like glyphosate or things that are being on our food products?
It just depends on the person. I think it's a little bit of everything for most people. It's a little bit of everything, but for some though, no, it's more of what's sprayed. For some, for Italians here, there's a big genetic component with that.
Yeah.
So the answer is it could be a little bit different for each person, but that is why so many people are intolerant, because for some it's what's sprayed, for some it's the genetics, for some it's their gut is a mess, right? When someone shows up and they're freaking out and crying because they have 20 foods they can't eat now, I don't view it that way. We shouldn't remove 20 or 30 foods from someone's diet. That's a sign of an overactive immune system as a result of gut dysbiosis, meaning the bacteria's all over the place, the bad guys are overgrown, like we'd said earlier, and those bad guys can't take the food, break it down, and assimilate it. They're like, they can't do their job. It's not that beautiful, colorful Amazon forest. So the gut dysbiosis is why all of a sudden you can't eat gluten and dairy and eggs and soy and peanuts and whatever. You're farting for 3 hours after dinner. Yeah, that is why. So fix the gut and it'll start to reverse itself. Don't remove 30 foods.
Well, everything comes from the gut. And then, this is another thing too. And again, because I know we're going to wrap up here soon. And I know this can go a little bit of a different thing, but I'm very passionate topic of mental health. And I obviously have a lot of people that come in here and we always link it back. But there's a big connection with your gut health and your mental health. What have you seen in your line of work with that?
Yes, right. The gut and the brain directly connect. I mean, yes, the overgrowth of bacteria, the yeast overgrowth, parasites for sure, pathogens can make someone very unstable. Then you pair that with an inflammatory diet, and then usually, here's the big thing. You know what? Here's the answer to that question. The gut is so imbalanced that even if they're eating fairly well, they end up with a ton of deficiencies because they're not So then you have B vitamin, magnesium, omega-3 deficiency, and you wonder why you're anxious and depressed, right? I mean, that is the answer that I see most commonly.
So repeat that again one more time.
So their gut is, you asked about the gut-brain connection and mental health. There's a lot to that as well, but when the gut is inflamed and just poorly balanced, even if that person is eating pretty well, they're not digesting and absorbing and assimilating that food. So they end up deficient in nutrients. So when you don't have enough omega-3 and you don't have enough B vitamins and magnesium and whatever, choline, I mean, that can lead to awful things like depression, anxiety, and brain fog and poor memory.
I'm so happy you brought that up. I did about a year and a half, 2 years ago, an HTMA test.
Oh, yeah.
So interesting because this test allowed me to look at every mineral in my body. I've done the GI maps and the blood tests, and I don't even know. I've done so many tests. I can't remember all the names right now. But the HTMA was really interesting to me because when you get your results, it essentially pulls up like a periodic table of the elements. I know you know this, but visually for people, and it shows every element and where you're at, whether you're super toxic and high or super low. Kylene, I was so low in so many things at this point in my life. This was also this period when I had done it. So I've had 2 times in my life where my acne's been absolutely horrible to the point where like I don't want to leave my house. It was I was night and day from what I look like now, and I couldn't figure out what is going on with my skin. So I was like, naturally, I'm looking at the root of it because I'm not going to buy a million products, right? I was in a very, very extremely stressed out period in my life. I wasn't sleeping well. Like I said, I was super low in like sodium, potassium, magnesium. I mean, all like the main ones I definitely was like lower in. I wasn't being conscious about like, I'd have to pull it up. I actually don't even remember, but it was like, I wasn't like super low, but I was low enough for someone like me. I'm constantly on the go. I was overtraining, under eating, which I've had an issue with that for a lot of my life, which is not on purpose. It's just how my lifestyle is because I'm always on the go and I am like a very, active individual. But it was just a mix of the stress, overtraining, under eating type of things, being low in all these things. I mean, I don't know. It's hard because I've had different periods where my skin's just gotten really, really bad. And, you know, at the time I was actually working with someone else at this time in my life, and I never actually fully figured out exactly what it was, but it started to get better when I worked on my stress. I started supplementing with the minerals I was low in. Not just supplements, I changed my food, but like I focused on trying to bring those minerals back up, started doing like electrolytes every single day, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I could go on.
Your skin looks amazing.
Thank you. But it was just really interesting because I was like, I never thought to look at things from a mineral level. I don't know. I just it was a different perspective.
And you know what? Going back to your undereaters, right? Another thing that's important to explain is that there's no possible way that if you're on the go and you're training and you're barely eating, whether you're trying to lose weight or not, you're deficient. You're probably deficient in multiple vitamins and minerals. And that alone can make it hard to lose weight, right? You don't have enough vitamins to take the food and plug it into the cells. I mean, just, it's just worth noting.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just like, but again, if I didn't do the test, obviously I wouldn't have known that. But it was just super, super interesting to me because I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm always looking at like other things here and there, but let me look at minerals. Game changer. I mean, that's even, I mean, it just even got me back to just making sure I'm doing like electrolytes every day because I wasn't even doing that. I just wasn't thinking about it. I'm like, I need to add this into my diet. I just wasn't doing it. So. Actually, I have a real quick question too off supplements. I want to spitball this because we have like a few more minutes. I want to go here because this is a very hot topic right now. Creatine in women.
Yes.
Can you give me something on that? Because I have girls come in here. I mean, I've done my own research, but I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on creatine in general? But then what about specifically for women? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Love. Okay. Let me give you my elevator speech, right? Because it's one that I'm asked every day of my life.
Yeah, I know. I already know. That's why I had to ask.
I'm glad. No, I'm so glad you asked. I think a lot of people want to know. Because I get asked every day, that tells me that it's relevant. So, love creatine. We want professional grade. We want it in a great form. We want it to be CreaPure. So, creatine monohydrate, form of CreaPure. There are a few brands. We can put that in the show notes too. Love it for women. Love it for men. Love it for aging. Love it for everyone. 3 to 5 grams a day is a wonderful maintenance dose. For some women trying to gain weight, men trying to gain weight, okay, I'm loading with 20 grams for a little bit, right, 10 to 14 days. But I think it's a wonderful thing for brain health, for muscle health, for everything. I mean, we're finding that it can help in the fight dementia and Alzheimer's.
I've heard that.
It can help maintain lean muscle mass as we age, right? I mean, that's so important, especially for women. So I'm a huge proponent. Start slow, right? And let us recommend some good brands for you.
Yes. And I also want to be realistic too, because a lot of people on TikTok now, they think, this is kind of funny, but just put out there, what's realistic when from an aesthetic standpoint, when someone starts doing creatine, there's this assumption that they're going to have a giant butt.
I've never heard that. What? Do I live under a rock? A giant butt? Come on. This is more your field than mine. What?
Women think if they're trying to increase their glutes.
Well, I guess it makes sense.
Hold on, girl.
Right. Okay,
these girls come there trying to build up their glutes and their legs, and they say, okay, if I take creatine, I see these transformation videos on TikTok of these girls before and afters. It's like before creatine, they're like butts just kind of like, it's whatever.
That's
after
hilarious.
They have this badonkadonk, like after creatine. Is that gonna happen?
After they go to Brazil and have a little surgery, right? Yeah, no, I mean,
Kylie,
so funny.
If someone takes creatine, does that mean that they're just gonna have this giant butt? They're gonna be like, like,
I love that. Well, let me tell you what, if your diet is great, your protein's hitting the mark, you're having the right creatine, and you have a great trainer who helps you with the correct form, yes, it will.
Yes.
It will be a little puzzle,
yes,
little piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
But no, if your form is terrible, you're eating junk, you're not eating protein, no, creatine's going to do nothing for that little butt.
Creatine's an asset. It's not the answer.
Right. There are a few steps to take to.
Well, people think if I do a supplement, it's just going to fix everything. Oh, if I take my protein powder and if I have creatine, then all of a sudden I'm going to this is it. This is the answer. But I don't have to do anything else. Just creatine, protein powder.
Yeah, welcome to my job. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Creatine is just a little tool. People don't understand. If I do creatine, first of all, creatine is it's shuttling into the cells. People just don't understand. Like, it's going to help you go harder in your workouts, but it's not going to, like I said, give you the giant butt. Okay? Like, there's so much more to gain the giant butt.
They need you for that giant butt.
Everyone, yes, you need me if you're trying to get a giant butt. You're absolutely correct for that. And I think that's what people don't understand. So, yes, creatine is good.
Question.
It's a great asset. And it's not just about the giant butt. It's the fact that you're going to have better brain function. I see it a lot actually with timing creatine in your cycle, the phases of your cycle. There's actually look it up. There's research studies out there now. If you look at people dosing the creatine during the different phases of their cycle, it's actually really advantageous. And there's a lot of things. I've been really into how people can modify their lifestyle, their diets, and their training with the phases. I think that's actually really interesting because, I mean, women just don't realize how their hormones are changing each part of the cycle. I don't know, something to think about. Just more things because we all are
learning
dying
more each day. It's
from
crazy.
PMS. So. Wow. Okay. Well, this
covered a
was,
lot.
I know we went through a lot of topics today. But like, if you just, okay, after everything, just taking it all in, if you're like, how do you want, like, what do you want people to leave with after this conversation? Like the bulk of it, what do you want people to leave with after everything as a whole?
I think we should just let them know that eating real food is everything, right? It's the foundation that's never going out of style. That should always be step one. But know that step one is not enough. Not in today's age. It's not enough. We want to make sure that we're constantly clearing, sweating, clearing detox pathways, and know that your environment, what you're consuming day in and day out, the plastics, the water, that matters probably much more in your health journey than you could ever realize.
100%. And balance your blood sugar.
Got it, baby.
Balance your blood sugar. We love you guys. We will see you in the next one.